the powers that you have, overwhelming powers that you have, when you look at our standing orders, those powers and any issue that is not within the Constitution and the standing order, you have the authority to say, I would want you today to declare that Kibra should be a hardship area, that when you give food relief, you also start with Kibra, because I have residents who live not only below $1 a day, but sometimes you find I have residents who cannot afford their meals, not one meal, but all the meals in a day. I know some of my colleagues have not been to slums. One day I will take you to see how slums look like. Some of you have not seen poverty. So I would wish that the speaker take this very, very seriously. In fact, when I had His Excellency the President pronounce that he's going to bring a hustler fund, I thought the only constituency he had in mind was Kibra constituency. And that is more reason that I stand here today. That touched my heart, that my people this time will be taken care of. I want to say that in Kibra, it is a slum that even the health facilities that we are talking about, we lack health facilities. Now you know that also if you cannot have 3 meals in a day, it means the immunity level of your body goes down, and within no time that you are susceptible to diseases, and our life are normally shortened. So I want to say that we need to hasten this idea of health care, because it is going to benefit my people more than any other people that we have around. So because of that, I really support the speech of the President, because it talked about the health care. You know, the first time we are speaking, we told now this is our maiden speech, and I hope that when I heard the President speak, he made one paragraph. I think it is the shortest paragraph in his short speech. I think 37. And he said, Honorable Speaker and members, I have news, not good news, because this country, our financial status is bad. Now, when you look at this speech, in almost all the paragraphs, we are just talking about the state of the economy in this country. And when I look at our state of the economy, you realize that when the governor, the central bank governor, came to talk to us, one thing he said is that the debts that we have, that we are servicing, is about 8.5 trillion in this country. And he projected that within the next 1 year, one financial year, it might move to 9.2 trillion. But when I looked and I heard the speech of the President, he said that 65% of our revenue still goes to pay for our debts. We must look at mechanisms, structures on how we are going to lower our debts. And when we see that we are going to offer 300 billion as a cut, I want to concur with one of our members who spoke here that the first priority we look at each department in our government and see how much was not spent in these departments. That is called the absorption. Which department did not absorb? Looking at all the departments, I have realized in the governments that the absorption rate, sometimes you find that some government departments only absorb up to 60%. So instead of having budget cuts across the board, we go by looking at the absorption rate of these departments, and from there we can raise the 300 billion. Now, we also realize that our expenditure, recurrent, is more than our revenue. And we are told that maybe within the next 3 years, we will be able to have more revenue than the recurrent expenditure. Now, this requires a lot of strict measures, and I will urge those concerned, the technocrats, to take this very, very seriously. Now, I would wish to talk about education. I'm an educationist, and that is why I'm called Mwalimu. And now, the speech of the president should have put a lot of emphasis on education. Education is what equalizes the people, whether you are poor or whether you are rich. Now, the education system in our country is at a balance. I have seen that we have a committee. I don't think it is a task force. It is a committee that will look at reforms required in education. I believe that these reforms will not affect the real stakeholders in the education system. The major stakeholders are the teachers, the parents, and the students. Most of the parents have been talking about a burden in this CBC. However, when you talk to the parents very keenly, the only thing they are complaining about is they are given also homework to help their students. And that is the only thing the parents are talking about, apart from also that it is expensive. So I would rather ask those who have been charged with this duty of looking at the reforms required in education to consult widely, especially with the Health Association and these major stakeholders, to see that if we bring these reforms, it will not take us less than 20 years again that we need another education system. I also urge the members of the parliament that when we need such of these reforms, they must be brought into this house so that we debate about those reforms properly before we enact them into laws. When the president talked about the Hustler Fund, I went and looked at the various funds that we already have. And today I saw the